Water's memory, and we are nothing but water. Our bodies are water. So the trauma that gets trapped, it gets trapped because we are water. Water holds memory. Water is a conduit. You're triggered in your own trauma, your own emotional fragility, all the programs that you run. What are the programs that you run? They are the streams of consciousness that are held and flow through the water that is your body. Water's a conduit. That's how streams of consciousness can flow through you and pretend to be you and have the human experience through you because you're a body of water. And streams of consciousness ride the waves of water, okay? You're a conduit for streams of consciousness to flow through you in order to have different types of human experiences. It doesn't matter to the streams of consciousness that the experiences are grief, sadness, terror, fear, powerlessness, insecurity, whatever. There are streams of consciousness flowing through water. It's like a surfer riding waves. You go in and you activate the water, opening the channels of water inside of you, the streams of consciousness. It's time to infuse them with higher divine enlightened frequencies. So we're going to infuse that lower powerlessness frequency with the frequency of harmlessness and gentleness, or compassion, or unconditional love. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori. As you know, the CEO of Masters of Self University and of this podcast. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for listening. Did you know that our bodies are water that hold the memories of trauma? Now, I've done a previous podcast and I talked about how our traumas turn into our physical bodies. I'm going to take this a step further, okay? Our physical bodies, as most of you know, are at least 70% water. Now, the percentages of what our bodies are, how much water is that makes up our actual human body, that percentage has changed over the years, over the decades. It's something different, I swear. Every 5 to 10 years, it's a new percentage. I don't pretend to know what the accurate percentage is. Over 80% water, over 70% water. At one point, it was reported 85% water. It's at least 70% or more. So we're just going to leave it at that. The exact percentage doesn't really matter. But think about that. Even if it's 70%, 70 to 80%, if our bodies are 70% water, okay? Think about what that really means. Let it sink in. Now, this is really critical to what I'm going to offer to you today in this podcast episode, because water is a conduit. Water holds memory. Water is a conduit for all of these streams of consciousness to flow through us. And water holds memory. And water holds memory, guess what, y'all? Of ancient history, Akashic records, like all of these things are held in our bodies through water. Okay, now you can go have fun and go down the rabbit hole of experimenting with water and all the things that people put out about, we think water has consciousness, and all those fun things. You can go on a beautiful self-discovery scientific rabbit hole of discovery of what really goes on with water. You can take the scientific approach, and by all means, please do. I'm going to give you a different perspective today, though. Water holds memory. Water is a conduit. We know this for sure. Okay, so this is science. It's nothing new. It's just go look it up if you're not sure, you never heard of that before. Here's the key. I'm going to connect some dots for you in this episode. One of the things that I teach, and I've certified and taught all of the certified mystical coaches of oneness at Masters of Self University when they do their trauma work, when they go in and work with deep emotions and trauma that are stuck in people's bodies, in their lives, in their energetic fields, etc. I want you to understand something, that the reason why trauma gets trapped in the body, and again, I know many of you who listen to this already have heard or know to varying degrees, let's put it that way. Trauma gets trapped in the body. I'm going to give you a different perspective, though, a little more elevated perspective today. Water is memory, and we are nothing but water. Our bodies are water. So the trauma that gets trapped, it gets trapped because we are water. It gets trapped because our cells are filled with, we're water. Every aspect of us, our blood. Think about the liquid, okay? All of our traumas and our unhealed stuff are just memories, like trapped or imprinted or held in the water that we are. All right? When you don't remember with your mind a trauma that happened when you were 6 months old, 1.5, because our memories don't even really start to develop until around the age of 3. You had traumatic things happen when you were young that you block out and repress because they're too traumatic, for you to emotionally handle. Your body remembers. What does it mean? I'm going to elevate this now for you. It is the body, but it's the water in the body that holds memory, because that's what water does. Water all over this planet holds the memories of everything that's ever occurred on this planet. Did you know that? Water beings carry the wisdom of what's happened on this planet. So animals like whales and dolphins and different things. Why do you think it's illegal? They don't let humans commune with dolphins unless, of course, they're trapped and in a fucking prison that we call SeaWorld. Come on. The water of your body holds the memory of everything. Your body always remembers, and more specifically, it's the water that makes up your body that remembers. Okay, now I've done a podcast before where I've talked about how the trauma, that energy actually can turn into your physical body. It can solidify and become your bone, your cartilage, your muscle, your joints. And I already released an episode about that and talked about that part. And it's true. It can and it does. But the reason why it feels like we can never heal and it takes so long and we keep cycling back and blah, blah, blah. This is multi-layered, but I want you to understand something from a different perspective today. And that is the water that you are made of in the physical form. All of that is being held. All the trauma is being held in the water that you are. That's what water does. That's what water is. It's a conduit for everything. It's a conduit to allow these streams of consciousness to flow through, but it's also a memory of all the streams of consciousness that have flown, passed through you, to put it that way. All of the beautiful things, but also all of the traumas that we say, we use language is so limiting, but we say things like get trapped in your body. It is the memory and the imprint. And because we don't alchemize and transform that frequency, that's why it stays in the physical vessel, in the water that we are. That's the simplest way that I can put it and still have it make any kind of sense. So I want you to understand something. When you are processing, healing, transforming, if you're not feeling, you're not healing anything. If you think you're going to just say a couple magic words and have any trauma in there, just alchemize and poof, it's gone. You don't have to look at it, see it, feel it, none of that. That's the ignorance, and that's just spiritual bypassing. You absolutely do. So anybody who you should be afraid of anybody that says you don't need to do shadow work, you don't need to go into your traumas, you just pretend like nothing fucking happened. It's it it's really disturbing to hear people say that. They don't understand energy, or they're plants and they're people that are very purposefully telling you what you want to hear to take you on a path where you never fucking heal and elevate. That's the scarier part about it. Um, Here's what's happening. And here's we teach this process at Masters of Self University. When you have a trauma that comes up, again, even if you don't remember with your mind the actual trauma, the water in your body holds the memory of fucking everything. It holds the memory of everything. It's in there, which is why you get triggered. Which is why you listen to somebody in a podcast, you're like, I don't like your tone. Oh, you cursed. You said the F word. Fuck. Why do you do that? I'm triggered. Meh. You're triggered in your own trauma, your own emotional fragility, all the programs that you run. What are the programs that you run? They are the streams of consciousness that are held and flow through the water that is your body. Water's a conduit. That's how streams of consciousness can flow through you and pretend to be you and have the human experience through you because you're a body of water. And streams of consciousness ride the waves of water. Okay, you're a conduit for streams of consciousness to flow through you in order to have different types of human experiences. It doesn't matter to the streams of consciousness that the experiences are grief, sadness, terror, fear, powerlessness, insecurity, whatever. There are streams of consciousness flowing through water. It's like a surfer riding waves, surfing in the ocean. It's like that. Okay. The water holds the memory, which is how the memories and the traumas are quote unquote or so-called get trapped in your physical body. And those negative currents that are flowing through you now have a negative impact on your physical body over time. And there's your disease and your distortions and your illnesses and your all the things because you have negative currents flowing through. It's like you live in an old house and you blow a fuse all the time. It's like the wires can't handle the amount of electricity that you're trying to, use. It's kind of sort of like that. Like things are going to break. You're going to blow a fuse, so to speak. So all those negative currents that are streams of consciousness flowing through you, like you have a buildup of that negativity over time when you don't know how to alchemize. How do you alchemize? Well, if you're not feeling, we are feeling beings. There is no such thing as you being a human and you're not a feeling being unless you're the type of being that doesn't have the soul and is disconnected and doesn't have heart energy. And yes, those beings exist on this planet. And half of them are the parasites that run the fucking world. They're the cult leaders of the world that brainwash you and enslave you. They're not heart-centered beings. They're not the type of beings that we are. So listen, anybody listening to this that is a man and all the brainwashing of patriarchy that tells you from the time you're born to like repress emotion and you're not allowed to cry or feel anything, that's to condition you and brainwash you into becoming a fucking monster, to sever yourself from heart-centeredness. You are an emotional feeling being. There's no fucking such thing as a man not being an emotional feeling being. In fact, you're way more sensitive than any woman is. Men are way more sensitive than women are. But you sever yourself from your connection to your soul, which is in your heart. Your heart chakra is the connection to your actual your divinity, your divine soul. So you train little boys from the beginning, from the time they're early, living this life early on, as a baby, as a young child, as a toddler, as a little boy, as a 7-year-old, as an 8-year-old. You train him. He's not allowed to feel anything healthy and normal and process and move through emotion in a healthy way. And then you're turning that dude into a monster, and you can easily send him off to war. You can easily turn him into a rapist and a violent man and somebody who flips out and gets triggered all the fucking time and attacks and fist fights and does the whatever the fuck and turns into an addict because the parasites that rule the world benefit from that. Simply put. If you understand that even a little bit, let's go back to our bodies being water that hold the memories of our trauma, because that's a lot of trauma to place in a child, in a human, in a person, in a little boy. You have to go in. This is the work that we teach at MSU. You go in and you activate the water, so to speak, the energies and the streams of consciousness that are being held by the water that you are. Okay. You activate them so that you feel them. Because once you start to feel them and they're activated, they're active. So you become aware of what's in there. So maybe it's grief, maybe it's loss, maybe it's sorrow, maybe it's anger, maybe it's shame, maybe it's embarrassment, maybe it's disappointment. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to fucking feel it. That's the first step. You feel it. Why do you feel it? Because once you feel it, you're connected to it. It's activated, it's alive. You want to bring up the energies and activate them. When they are active, they're woken up, so to speak. That's when they're open. You open. It's like opening the floodgates, opening the channels of water inside of you, the streams of consciousness. It all opens, opens, opens. When you do that, it's time to infuse that water, those cells, that stream, those streams of consciousness. It's time to infuse them with higher divine enlightened frequencies, which of course I teach and at Masters of Self University. You start with something very simple, your divine light, but I'm going to teach the 20 universal ways of oneness. What is the enlightened frequency that we want to infuse into this water? It's like putting an electrical current in there to transform what is in there. So we're going to infuse that lower powerlessness frequency, that lower grief frequency, that lower isolation or loneliness frequency. We're going to infuse that frequency with the frequency of harmlessness and gentleness or compassion or unconditional love, or whatever way of oneness feels the most comforting, the most loving, the most supportive. So we are infusing an enlightened frequency of oneness. No more severance, no more separation, no more judgment, no more, oh, don't feel this way, no more, none of that crap. We are learning how to energetically at a quantum level, but also working at the level of matter, because our bodies are matter. And that's where we're storing the memories of trauma in the water that we are. So we activate the pain, and while the pain is alive, we bring in the light of divine consciousness, and we infuse the light of divine consciousness, and it starts flowing with the water, with your body, with your cells that are imprinted, holding the conduit of, again, powerlessness, pain, grief, sadness, loneliness, whatever it is, embarrassment, shame. We're infusing that, and all of a sudden it transforms what we've opened up. It transforms the shame. It transforms the loneliness. It transforms the powerlessness into the light of divinity as the way of purity. It completely transforms it. And now what is in there? What is being held in the water that you are? Harmlessness and gentleness, compassion, patience, surrender, unconditional love, purity, harmony, integrity, etc., truth, trust. These are the frequencies we're infusing into the body. We're now moving through an ascension. We're activating an ascension process to rise higher and elevate higher and vibrate at enlightened frequencies. We also are learning a very powerful process so that when other streams of consciousness come in, which come in anytime we interact with anybody, if somebody hurts your feelings, if somebody stabs you in the back, if somebody cheats on you, if somebody turns against you, if somebody slanders your name, if somebody projects onto you, if somebody does whatever the hell somebody does, because that's what people do out there, any of those things, when people do that and it hurts, we are human. And because we're human, we feel emotions. Part of the deal being here. That's why no fucking, it's psychotic to say men don't. Get out of here with the whole men don't fucking feel the way women do. When men feel probably at least 3 times more than women do. Women are very in touch with their emotions. They feel very deeply. They know how to, they're master of emotion. But men are sensitive. So that whole bullshit that you're not, just get out of it. You're preventing and delaying your own healing and transformation when you do that. So just stop it. Just quit it already. Like enough's enough. Grow up. Like it's time to just deal with what we need to deal with. And it's the way of truth. This is the frequency of truth. Right? So when you can understand this and you start to grasp how we function as multidimensional beings, and multidimensional beings, we have physical matter as a vessel. We are connected to this body, this physical matter. And this physical matter is made up of mostly water. And water covers the majority of the planet. Hello. And our bodies are the micro compared to the planet, the macro, and vice versa. Our bodies function the same way that the planet functions, that the universe functions. Every cell of our body is its own mini universe. All right. Go back to water being a conduit for energy. It's a current. It allows these streams of consciousness like currents to flow through you like currents. Okay. And it holds the memory of everything. That's what water is. It's what water does. So traumas, when they happen to us and we feel the pain of them, we don't know how to alchemize and transform them when we're not raised and taught how. But what's so critical at this stage of the game, in this great awakening, and people maturing and people growing up and people healing themselves and raising their level of consciousness, means you learn to work at a metaphysical level. You learn to work as a multidimensional being, and understanding what that really means, and becoming a higher level of consciousness means you're working at the quantum level. That doesn't exclude physical matter in your body. It's working with it, because we are this too. Okay. So when our bodies are made of 70 or more percent water, you have to understand the critical importance of that and what impact that has on you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and of course, physically, but your traumas, it's like a current flowing through you all the time. And if you're not aware of it consciously, it doesn't matter. It's still flowing through you all of the time. As a part of your body, it's flowing through every heartbeat, your circulatory system, as your blood is flowing through your entire body, like your trauma is flowing through your entire body. So, yes, there's certain types of trauma that tend to get trapped into certain parts of your body very commonly. That stuff is all true to a degree, and there can always be exceptions to anything like that, even though there are commonalities, related to, certain traumas are going to be trapped in your sacral or your root. Survival programs are going to be trapped in your root because of what that energy center means and does to the physical body. And if you've experienced sexual trauma, for example, a lot of times that's trapped in your sacral chakra, and that's going to be that area of your body in your lower abdomen. Yes, those things are true, but understand that what's really critical here is your entire body is made up of mostly water. So the memory of those traumas are connected and flowing through the process, the cellular function of your physical body, the matter of your body, the physical matter is being infused all the time with your trauma, unless you go in and you do the work to alchemize it. Talking about it in talk therapy doesn't fucking heal and alchemize anything. It anchors it in. You talk about it, you start activating the trauma. Okay? That anchors it in. Speaking about your trauma from the level of consciousness of your pure divinity is what we teach you how to do at MSU. When you speak about your trauma, you're activating what's trapped in there. You're activating what's being held in the water in the cells. You're activating what's being held and as a memory bank in the water that you are, in the body of water that you are. You activate it. You want to activate it. That creates the openness for transformation, for change. The opportunity to transform it now exists at the level of physical matter. Okay? That means when you activate it so that it opens up, when it's active, that's when we want to infuse the frequencies of oneness, our own soul's divinity, the light that we are. That's when we want to infuse those frequencies into I'll just call them trauma frequencies, the trauma streams of consciousness that are in there. We want it to be activated and open and ready to receive. That's when we're ready to receive, when we activate it and we're open. We are opening up the channels of trauma that are trapped in us. Okay? And then we activate and bring in the frequencies of enlightenment, the way of unconditional love, the way of compassion, the way of trust when we feel so betrayed, the way of surrender. Surrender means flow. So we flow, the currents flowing through our bodies on an energetic level are now streams of consciousness that are enlightened frequencies of oneness. That level of unconditional love or purity or wisdom or harmony or whatever it might be, we want those flowing through. Now, those currents, those waves, so to speak, are now combining in oneness, connecting to and combining in oneness with the trauma frequencies, trauma streams of consciousness. But those higher enlightened frequencies alchemize because they're more potent, they're more powerful, they're more enlightened, they're higher vibrational frequency. So they transform the frequencies that are being held in the body of water that you are. They transform them. And then guess what? Because water is not just a conduit, but it holds memory. So it doesn't mean the memory won't be there, but the actual trauma, the potency of the trauma is completely transformed into the enlightened stream of consciousness of the way of unconditional love, for example. This energetic process it's miraculous. It's a miracle to be able to do this. And you can just learn how to do this. Now, the unfortunate thing is the conditioning of society, global society, I don't care where you're from, because of old earth, what old earth is, patriarchal cult, system of imprisonment and enslavement, and you need to suffer and be trapped in suffering and have all these traumas and be trapped in survival and suffering because that's what they feed off of. That is the unfortunate system that we were born into. Except that you can simply flow out of it when you're willing to learn how. And no, most people do not learn how overnight. It's not even fucking possible. Look, let's just be honest. It fucking isn't. It's not possible. Like, let's get out of our arrogant spiritual matrix bullshit of every single thing you're here to experience in life at the snap of a finger can just fucking disappear, like wave a magic wand, and every single thing you've ever experienced that's traumatic can just flip and go away and you never have to experience it again. It's that quick. That's not accurate. Most of that's a bunch of bullshit. It doesn't mean that doesn't also exist. It does. What most people have been brainwashed into thinking a miracle is, those types of miracles absolutely exist. But unfortunately, the conditioning makes it impossible to believe that you could experience that. And that's part of the layering, multi-layering negativity that holds you back from being able to experience that. That's number one. It's because of the layers of conditioning and brainwashing that are so focused on keeping humanity dumb and blind and spiritually unconscious, and you think you're conscious. Oh my God, they work so hard to do this to people. And they've done a very successful job. They've done a great job. It's easy to do that to an entire billions of people when they're not awakened to begin with and they don't have parents and loved ones waking them up from early on. Think about it. So yeah, it's going to take a while. You know, my strongest recommendation for anybody is to go to 2 full years of school at our metaphysical school, Masters of Self University. Go to 2 full years. That's my recommendation. After that, you do whatever you want. You go 10 years if you want to and keep learning beautiful, wonderful, fun, incredible things, because I'll keep teaching higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher levels that you can go do whatever you want and go as high as you want to go. My strongest recommendation, if I could wave the magic wand, I mean, I would have millions of people go through 2 years at MSU to learn all of this stuff. Because if you really put the work in, I mean this so sincerely, if you really put the work in just 2 years, you have the potential to never be taken advantage of ever again, to never be brainwashed by a global cult or any of the cult sectors that exist on the planet that are constantly sending frequencies your way to manipulate you and trick you and brainwash you and all the things. You have to learn about it and how it works energetically. And the more you evolve and elevate and learn higher levels of this and higher levels, like going to higher levels of school, you don't earn a master's when you're only in 5th grade. You can't. It's not possible. You have to finish elementary school, junior high school, high school. Even if you're smart enough to skip grades, you still don't go from 3rd grade to a fucking doctorate. Like, come on, give me a break. You don't have the cognitive ability to do that. Your brain isn't even mature enough to do that. Do you understand? Like, that's the analogy I use because it's truth. This is no different. What you learn on an energetic level, your physical body has to actually expand and ascend with you, which is why the majority of what you learn, no, you're not fucking doing it in a weekend or a month or just 6 months worth of studying or whatever. That's why it takes time. You're a multidimensional being. You are a non-physical being that has a physical body. You have this body that is matter. You're both. You're all of it. You're every level. Okay. So anything and everything that you learn on the spiritual level and the metaphysical and the non-physical on that invisible energetic level at the quantum level, it has to be brought in, and your body has to then integrate it, and the body has to elevate and adapt to those higher frequencies. Your body can't, it can only do so much at one time. It's hard on the body, not hard in a negative way. It's exhausting. You'll feel fatigue. You'll get ascension symptoms. It's hard on the body, so to speak, in that way, even though you're healing and elevating in a beautiful way. So that's why it's a process that takes time. So the nonsense that anything you ever need to become enlightened, fully healed, and blah, 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 can happen in a month or a weekend retreat. It's horse shit. It's spiritual matrix. People are fucking either totally ignorant and shouldn't be teaching and charging money for any fucking thing they're offering, or they're doing it on purpose to lead you astray. Taking advantage of your ignorance, of your lack of education, because we've been dumbed down so much that's not hard to do. I mean, Christ almighty, look at the last decade alone of the explosion of, spiritual influencers, and people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, all following false light. It's frustrating and it's hard out there. But the more you can learn a little bit more at a time, and you integrate it, that's one of the things that is really critical that we offer at MSU. You don't take 20 classes at one time. We don't even allow that. We don't fucking allow that. You know why? You never integrate shit. Your physical body has to elevate its frequency. You have to integrate. That's how you become the way of wisdom. If you're not integrating and all you're doing is gaining a bunch of knowledge, you're like, I know everything, spirituality. No, you don't. You don't know fuck all. And that's why you're still a brainwashed puppet. and you function at very low frequencies, even though you like to think you're higher than you are. That's part of the spiritual matrix, y'all. That's part of gaining the way of humility. It's okay if you're in preschool. It's not okay that you stay there. You have to do the work. And I'm hoping that what I offered you here today, understanding why it's a big deal that your body is mostly water. That's a big deal. It's really important. When you consume water, oh my God, okay. Here's also why our water is poisoned so damn much. And traces of fecal matter and pharmaceuticals and poisons are found in our water. I mean, our water system is poisoned as well, as I'm sure most of you know. Tap water is absolute poison. Why they put fluoride in it and all this crap? Because your physical body is mostly water and it's a conduit. That water is the fastest absorption of energy, of energetic frequencies, of poisons. Okay. If you took the time to infuse the frequencies of the universal ways of oneness, the way of purity, for example, the way of unconditional love, the way of harmony, and you infuse that into your water, your tea, your coffee. Hopefully, you have an organic coffee that is really tested and free of a lot of toxins that they don't typically test, especially in the United States. But your coffee, um, your raw, healthy, organic juices that you drink, any liquid. I mean, this is with anything, food and anything, but anything you consume, but especially with liquid and especially water before you drink it. If you were to activate and infuse the way of purity, the way of harmony, the way of unconditional love, not you don't have to do all of them. You could pick just one, you could pick 2 or 3 frequencies, and you activated the liquid before you consumed it and put it into your body. The way that that would flow through your body and heal your body are let your imagination run wild. It would sound like a fantasy movie that it would sound extraordinarily woo-woo if I were to explain it more. So I'm just gonna let your own imagination run wild with that, and let it run wild. Don't limit yourself. When you activate those frequencies into the water, into the tea, whatever it is you're consuming, and then you drink it, please allow yourself to begin to imagine the miracles that you are energetically drinking and consuming and what that can do for your body over time. It really is a real thing. Now, here's where you'll say, I tried it and it didn't work for me. Because, of course, unfortunately, some of you still fucking exist out there. You'll try it on your own and be like, it didn't work. I didn't feel anything. Meh, 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 vomit, vomit, blah, blah, project, project. Number one, you either have no clue what you're doing, you don't know how to do it. You haven't learned exactly how to do this and work with frequency and work on an energetic level where you're activating things accurately and appropriately. That's all. You probably don't know how to do it. That's number one. That's a possibility. Okay. So then you're not really doing it. So, of course, you're not going to experience anything or observe anything. Number two, it's not hard to do it. So you may try it all by yourself and be able to do it. There's a very good chance you can without having any formal teaching to do it. You can play with it and probably to some degree be successful with it. The reason why you don't think and or sense the difference or the effects of it is because of there's a million other reasons why you're not detecting subtle energies to the degree that you can detect subtle energies. And before it makes a bigger difference in the physical body, you're going to feel the subtlety of it. Very subtle shifts. So if you can't detect subtle energy, part of what we teach at MSU in all of our classes, and we build you up to that to be able to do that more and more and more all the time. If you can't detect subtle energies, you're not going to sense and feel what is actually happening. You're going to ignore it. You'll literally miss it. So think of it like this. When You know, the dog whistles, like, you blow a dog whistle and your dog goes crazy and you can't hear anything. You're, "I didn't hear shit." Just because you didn't hear it doesn't mean there wasn't a whistle. There was a tone, there was a sound, but your ears couldn't pick it up, but your dog did. This is no different. When working with subtle energies, the currents, the streams that are flowing through the water of your body, okay? When you activate something, tea, water, and you drink it, that stream of consciousness, that enlightened frequency is now flowing through your physical body. Are you kidding me that you can't create miracles that way? Yes, you can. Again, the problem is people don't learn to work with subtle energies in the way, again, this has been removed from society for a reason. Of course you don't, right? This is why it's so critical. It's my passion. It's why I offer everything at why I have an entire metaphysical university, is to bring this back so people can learn how to do all this stuff. So if you don't know how to detect subtle energies in this way, then you won't be able to feel what's really happening. It doesn't mean it isn't happening. It's like the dog whistle. You're not hearing it, but the dog does. Well, you might not feel it, but like I'd be able to feel it, the most subtle energy. It just means you can't detect the subtle energy just yet. You're not sensitive enough yet to detect what's happening. So that's another possibility. Doesn't mean it isn't working and doing something. Third thing, there's a lot of things that we're being hit with frequency wise, poison wise, constantly we're being bombarded. It will take sometimes way more, a lot longer to actually feel and sense the difference when you consistently do something like I've mentioned. Activate the frequencies of the universal ways of oneness in your liquid before you drink it, in your water, your tea, your coffee, or whatever. Consistently doing it, you will feel the healing effects of it and then witness the effects of that over a period of time. But guess what? If we lack the way of patience, combined with the truth that most people cannot feel subtle energies, so it would take a lot longer for you to actually sense and see the effects. Like, you would have to see, the average person would have to feel and sense way bigger, more profound effects of it before they noticed it. That's part of the problem. So it doesn't mean it isn't happening, but it depends on your level of sensitivities with energies. Some people will do this. You'll try it on your own, never tried anything like this before. You'll try it on your own and you'll feel something immediately. And you keep doing it and you'll just feel the effects of it, and you'll start to see differences in your body and your healing of your physical body and all these kinds of things. It will help your healing journey if you do something like this. If you're somebody that runs a program that gives up after 3 days, don't bother. And the only reason why I say don't bother is because you need to heal the program of giving up and quitting and not sticking with something. Otherwise, it's just self-sabotage. It's part of a self-sabotage program. The give up program, the lack of patience. So it depends on what kind of programming you have too. Sometimes the type of programming that we have, we need to focus on certain programs and alchemize those first before implementing other parts, other modalities, or other methods into our healing journey. And when you understand the self and you are mastering the self, Masters of Self University, when you're learning how to master the self, your unique programming, including your traumas and all the negativity in there, your unique programming, there might be certain programs and frequencies that are flowing through you that need to be addressed first before you would add even something like this, even though it sounds very simple and it's wonderful. But because of certain programming you may run, you wouldn't stick with it and you'd be like, it doesn't work, even though it fucking works. It's impossible. And if you really understand energy, of course it fucking quote unquote works. There's no such thing as it doesn't work. But there's so many other things blocking your experience. I refuse to receive healing energies. That could be a program you actually run. And you don't even have a clue it's in there, some of you. Okay. This is why our very first class that we teach when you're a student at our metaphysical university, this is what we teach you in that. And it's a required class. And this is why it sets you up to be the most successful you can possibly be as long as you do the real work that we teach you. Okay. So I'm sharing all of this because I'm offering you the education, a better understanding as why you might try something and you're like, that didn't work. Next. Part of that is the spiritual matrix and done by design. You're not being educated properly. You don't have the level of education to teach you why you don't sense something's working, why you can't tell accurately if something is working or not. You want to be able to tell accurately. If something's not working, then it's a waste of time. You shouldn't be doing it. Don't waste your time and energy. But most people can't sense what is working and what is not working. In the spiritual matrix, most people are tricked into thinking, oh my God, I felt something nice. And you automatically think you're healed, and that was it. That's all you oh, that's the highest level that exists. No, oh my gosh. Just because something feels nice doesn't mean it's actually transforming or alchemizing anything. Again, when you learn to work with subtle energies, you learn to discern at the higher levels. Every time you go and master a level, and then you go to that next level higher, there's a next level, a higher level of discernment that you have to gain. This is part of gaining and becoming the way of humility. The way of humility is the 15th way of oneness out of 20. It's very high frequency. And the way of humility helps us to understand that after we're mastered at a certain level, great, good job. Beautiful, nice work. All that hard work paid off, but you're not done. Then you go to the next level higher, and literally a new level of discernment has to be acquired, meaning you have to become a whole new level of discernment. This is part of elevating to the way of humility. It's the higher levels of the way of humility. You don't know fuck all when you get to that next level higher. As much as you've learned and you've become and you go to a higher level and you're like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And it's a whole beautiful level of a higher level of humility, because to discern at that next mastered level that you just entered into and you didn't master yet, that level of discernment is like you can't discern shit. You can't discern fuck all at that level. It's all new. The energies are even more subtle, and you're like, I can't detect anything that I used to be able to detect. Of course you can detect everything you used to be able to detect, but now you're functioning in a level where they're more subtle and more subtle and more subtle. You are becoming more sensitive, more sensitive, more sensitive to detect all the energetic frequencies at that level. When you get higher and work at those levels, and you're mastering the self in this way and evolving, profoundly evolving, then you realize when your physical matter, your physical body, which is a body of water, you start to feel the effects of things almost instantly when you, for example, activate water, activate the frequencies of, the way of purity. You activate, and everything in this can of water that I have right now, you activate the way of purity, activate the way of harmony, so that it harmonizes everything in your body that is less than the frequency of the way of harmony. You do that, you breathe, you open, and then you drink. Now, as that water goes through, and it does what water does, is it moves through your body and the whole biological process, every single cell that water touches and fuses with goes into every part of my body that works with that water that I just drank. That goes through, that current flows through, and it transforms every energy in my body that is less than the way of harmony, and it harmonizes. It harmonizes and it raises to a level of frequency of the way of harmony. And you'll have effects where you do that enough and you get all the ascension symptoms. You'll feel sick, you'll feel fatigued, you'll ache, you'll all ascension, because your physical body is healing and elevating and rising higher. And then you become more sensitive to another layer of subtle energies because you're mastering the self. And then you feel that higher level of discernment start to come online. And then another beautiful level of the way of humility starts to come online a little bit more, because you're like, I don't know anything at this level. And then you start to learn things at this level, and you move through that process. You master that level over time. And then you get to go to a higher level, which then you don't know fuck all again. And then you go higher and higher and higher. This is evolution. This is when you learn to do things like this and you're learning to heal the trauma that the water in your body holds, you alchemize and transform it. And you replace it and you infuse enlightened frequencies and you learn to do this kind of work for yourself, every aspect of yourself, but also your physical body. When you learn how to do this over time and you put it into practice regularly, your body, your physical body transforms. It flows, it heals, it elevates, it functions in a very different way. And this is part of evolving. That also means that these frequencies activate DNA, dormant DNA. It transforms your DNA. DNA is at the cellular level. It's at that tiny fractal molecular level where it's water too, so to speak. Even at the level of your DNA, this transforms your DNA. Trauma has infused into your DNA, turning certain DNA codes on and turning others off, or not allowing certain DNA codes to turn on, not allowing your new, more elevated 12-strand DNA, for example, to start to get activated and come online. Trauma prevents that from happening. Holding trauma in your body prevents that from happening. So you don't want to hold the trauma in your body anymore. Stop avoiding your trauma. You got to go into it. Okay. And it's a multi-layer, multi-level process of you yourself becoming a more evolved, enlightened being. All right. And then some of these methods and some of these things that you can do, you energetically can activate, create, command frequencies. And those frequencies, when you then consume them and work with them, they absolutely turn off your trauma at the level of your DNA, where your DNA says, yep, we're on, we're activated, and we're going to keep pulsating this trauma through this person's physical body because the DNA codes say to do that. You're turning them off, and then you replace it. Over time, you're turning on the DNA codes that are peaceful, that are elevated, that are loving, that are calm, that are stable, that are healthy, that are flow, that are harmlessness and gentleness, that are the way of unconditional love, that are compassion, that are patience, that are integrity, that are trust. Do you understand? You literally are activating more enlightened, elevated, higher forms of DNA codes in your physical body by understanding the things that I'm talking about and by taking the time to learn them at a higher level and becoming them and working with them yourself. You're changing your DNA by doing this kind of stuff. That isn't a process that happens again in a weekend retreat. You can have intense, powerful transformation in a short period of time, but your physical body then needs time to integrate, to acclimate, to stabilize at that level. Okay, so a combination of intensive work, like the stuff that we teach at MSU, for example, a weekend, a week retreat, an intensive, whatever, a 3-week stay, and doing really intensive transformative work, for example. And then you need the time to integrate and to allow the physical body, all the new frequencies to stabilize, like to settle in and to grow and anchor in. And that's where they become stable. That's that stabilization process, that stability process is part of the way of harmlessness and gentleness frequency. It has to settle and it's stabilize. It anchors in, and now it's stable and it's secure. And that is the frequency of safety. So harmlessness and gentleness, to stay with this example, is what stabilizes us at our new higher frequencies. The physical body needs to stabilize. The emotional body needs to stabilize at this new frequency. The mental body, our spiritual body, all of that needs to anchor in, stabilize, work together in harmony as the way of harmony. And once it's stable and secure and we feel really safe at this new level, then you can start to work at that level and integrate every aspect of your life. Well, I have these new higher frequencies. How do I incorporate that into my interactions and my relationships, romantic or otherwise, at work, in my business, in my home life, or with my family members that are animals? It's any scenario. How do I interact online on social media with other beings that exist in this world from this new stable, loving, wonderful, higher frequency energy? This is the kind of stuff you learn at MSU. Because just because you can sit and meditate for 2 hours and go to the fucking woo woo la la land and then come back, well, so what? What does that mean in your everyday life if you still show up as attacking and judging on social media and saying fucking horrible things to people on social media? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who cares that you can go meditate, fucking leave your body for whatever the hell you're doing? So what? Becoming is like what I've described here in this episode. You learn to stabilize those frequencies here, and then you go a higher level. And then you learn to anchor in and integrate and infuse in every aspect of your life. If you only do it in class, or you only do it when you meditate, or you only do it when you're in the fucking men's circle or the women's circle, whatever the hell you do, you're not doing anything. You're in the spiritual matrix. You're still in third dimensional fuck land of goddamn domination and suffering of patriarchy. Like, you haven't left that matrix. You understand? That's what we need to wake up to and put the work in. And that work isn't going to happen in a matter of 3 months or even a year. So, honestly, if people could learn the things that I teach and we teach in our classes at MSU for just, I've loaded the first 2 years where you can totally alleviate suffering and get out of energetically being trapped in that old system. It's a tough 2 years to do it in just 2 years, but you can, and you'll be equipped with the wisdom and the tools to go do it on your own. Okay? And then you can add things like I've described here today. Activate and infuse what you consume. But you're at a level when you do it with everything we teach you at MSU, you're at a level now where you are detecting more subtle energy. So you're feeling it go in and you're feeling it work with your cells. I can feel my cells respond to me when I do the things that, like I've shared with you today in this episode. I can feel my cells when I take from our garden all of the herbs, all the organic, beautiful, wonderful herbs that we grow. And I make my own vegetable broth at home, and then I drink and I activate that broth with purity and harmony and unconditional love and whatever I'm feeling in the moment. And then I drink it, and I can feel the cells of my body respond to that instantaneously, and things start shifting and changing in my body. And I get to experience and feel what that feels like just by drinking vegetable broth that I grew, that I made, that I honored as the way of honoring, that I infused with the frequencies, and then I consumed. We are one. That's oneness. And the physical effects, the emotional effects, the mental effects, the spiritual effects take me higher by doing that. When you live in duality, separation, which is severance consciousness, you come from patriarchy and you don't realize you're still functioning that way in your level of consciousness. You just, hey, I'm going to activate and use some frequencies in this broth or this water. I'm going to drink it. Better heal me. You're still coming from severance. It doesn't work the same way. It will not have the same effect in your body. And again, the education, it's understanding why. And you have the power to change that. But you have to be willing to learn and become the way of wisdom. And again, that's a process that takes willingness and devotion, and you're willing to learn over time. Your willingness to learn over time. So I hope there's a better understanding. You are the body of water. how that holds the memory, how that holds the trauma in it, how it keeps the currents flowing of that trauma until you go in and transform in the water. Okay. Why that is so important to learn how to activate and bring up the pain and infuse another frequency in by working with the frequencies of your light, your divinity, the light of the enlightened frequencies of the 20 universal ways of oneness. Okay. I hope there's a better understanding. And I hope to the best of your ability, you can practice applying these things that I'm offering you today. And if you want extra help, go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Become a student. We'll teach you step by step everything you need to know. All right. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.